Hello and welcome to this special episode of the Fools on a Hill podcast. I'm Cal and I'm joined by Yanni and Liam. As always, say hi, boys.
Hi, boys.
Hi, boys.
Today, we are here to celebrate the 10-year anniversary of DIIV's debut album, Oshin.
It's a classic.
Can you give me your best party thing? The other things that go out. Great.
Oh, happy birthday.
Really, really happy with that.
Good.
DIIV, spelled DIIV, because there was an
DIIV.
issue with the original name spelled the typical way you'd expect it to be spelt. There was already another band spelled like that. We're celebrating DIIV's debut album, which of course is called Oshin. This
Why is this
album,
spelled wrong? Can you tell me
because
that?
full of joy and laughter. This album was entirely produced by the frontman Zachary Hall-Smith. Now,
Wow. Well
I
done,
don't
Zachary.
know if that has any bearing as to why I bloody well enjoy it so much, because albums that are often self-produced, I tend to enjoy quite a lot whenever we bring them up. Anyway, yep, quite an achievement because it's the debut one. There were a couple of singles that were released before this album, which I've not got a name, because frankly, the fact they've been reissued at such a high price is pissing me off. That's right, I'm still annoyed. But yeah, in 2014, which was 2 years after this album's release, little factoid here, Oshin was briefly out of print due to legal issues regarding the original cover art. I had one of these weird things where I didn't know that was going on. So one day it had the original artwork, and then the next day it didn't, and it changed, and I thought, no, this is wrong. Surely something's not the same here. But it was that. And it was reissued in June 2015 with the new artwork. Those are the facts, because genuinely there's not much else to tell you fact-wise. It's a... Do you class it as a shoegaze album, isn't it, Callum? Would you class it as that?
I'd say it was a shoegaze album, yes, Yanni.
Yeah. Dream poppy, maybe?
Yeah. Dream pop, bedroom pop, if you're going to be so precise, but it's absolutely not. It's a shoegaze album.
Yeah. So you can already tell me and Cal bloody like it. We're gonna go.
We're the reason this is a classic on our show.
I am
Liam
here just to fill the
is here.
spaces.
Yeah.
Just to keep attendance up.
We're gonna go through track by track. Although I will be honest, there's not really much that I've said, because most of it I just enjoy. But it opens up with Droon, which is the part one. So this two-parter song. I think this is for the album, it's a good opener. Sets the tone pretty well. I really like the guitar that comes in towards the end of this particular track. I just like the layers it builds up in most of the album. Each song, it just keeps on adding and adding at certain points. And it all makes a wonderful wall of sound. What do you think of this opener, Cal?
That it does. It, as you say, it instantly sets up the feel for the record. If you don't like this, you're not going to like the record, which is maybe something that happens in the corner over there. Whichever way he is. Which way would it be? Would it be?
To your...
I don't know. One of them, I'll hedge my bets. He's
to
either
your right.
there or there.
To your right,
Point
yeah.
to your right.
Yeah.
No, I actually quite like this opener.
Oh, my G.
Very surface level. Thought, all right. I thought, okay, this is interesting. This is a bit... I wasn't quite expecting this. And I actually don't think this represents the album extremely well.
Wow.
I feel like it's less shoegazy than the rest of it. It's a bit more kind of summery. I mean, it's not a genre, but you know what I mean.
No, but I get that, because I do think of this album as being very summery.
Yes, as do I, which we will get into later.
Yes.
I was just going to say, and then I won't really speak much more after this point, because then it becomes what it becomes, and that is Ocean, and it's not an ocean I want to dive into. But
Whoa!
yeah.
No.
Am I
However,
right?
I mean, Yanni and I enjoy it,
Mm.
and I thoroughly enjoy the next track,
Oh, yes.
which is Past Lives.
Yes.
Oh, what a riff.
Yeah.
What a riff. The bass is top tier, and
Mm.
just the feels. I've spoken about this with you numerous times, Yanni.
You have.
There is a feeling in my stomach that shoegaze gives me like nothing else does. It's almost like anxiety, but in a positive way.
Positive
You know?
anxiety.
So I don't know if that's a thing, but that's kind of how it makes me feel,
Yeah.
and it's good.
Butterflies.
It is good.
Yeah, butterflies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like how this starts off with that little synth. It's very abrupt and finishes extremely quickly, but I like
Yeah.
how that comes into it. And then that guitar riff is great, and the bass is just relentless, constant throughout
Great
the entire
adjective.
track. Thank you. Yeah.
Straight away with
I
this
love
song,
the
I
outro this as well.
sorry. Straight away in this song, I recognised a band I know, clearly influenced by the music of DIIV. Maybe you guys are familiar with it. You should be because you're in it. But yeah, I'd never really. You ripped them off quite a bit, I would say. Yanni?
I think influence is the word you're looking for
ripped
here,
off.
Liam.
What's weird is
No,
that for
clear
me,
influence.
I don't feel like I have. It's never been a conscious thing, and I can say that wholeheartedly. Like I'd never thought this song I'm gonna write, and it's gonna be like this dive song.
Yeah, of course.
If we were
But
going to
it's
rip
definitely
someone
influence.
off, it would be someone a lot more commercially successful.
That's fair. But you definitely influence.
And we
I
have.
even think about.
And we've not been as commercially successful.
I even think about stuff that we've made, Yanni, which is not quite like your band Bluff stuff. I'll say that out loud. Where guitar lines have been quite like that.
Well, yeah,
And I'm not saying in a negative sense, but there's a very clear influence that I was unaware of until listening to this album, which I thought was quite interesting.
It's interesting that you picked up on it because I never know where it's come from. So it's quite interesting that it's come from this. Because I very much I adore this album, so it's good to know where
Fucking married
my
them,
styles
aren't
have sort of originated from. Anyway, moving on from me to the next song on this album, which we're covering, called Human. Really like the bass line in this as well. And there's like a weird sort of droney tone that plays very warbly, which I like throughout.
Were you saying wobbly in a posh accent then?
No, warbly, like wobble. Warbly. Oh. No.
What? I got some wobble.
Yeah, I really like this one. This is one that I always forget how much I enjoy, if I'm being honest. And it plays and gets into it, and I fucking love it.
Yeah. You took the words out of my mouth at that the very last second there, Johannes. This tune is something else. It's just ethereal. It's massive. It's unreal. It is unreal. Just this album, it does reduce me to just noises, which is a worry, but it really is, and yeah, it's got nice memories as well because although it's like a semi-recent album for me that I've divulged into, it does give me nice memories. Like you two have all your Pavement shit that I'm slowly trying to like put my head round in. But this is like a purely Cal and Yanni album, and it just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
well, interestingly,
go on.
I think I've also make the same point. Is that this reminds me of very much me and Yanni album, Woo Life, Go Tell Fire to the Mountain.
Yeah,
very similar kind of just vibes, I suppose,
Time.
not summery feeling, and just like I can completely understand both how you both feel about this album based on how I feel about the album.
Yeah,
that's
it is
completely
that. As someone
very
who
fair way
likes
to put it.
that album as well, I can
as the bridge there, Yanni,
as the bridge
between the two.
As I often am. Yeah, this Next song that we cover is Air Conditioning. I've never been fussed on this track, really. It's a slower one. It does meander a bit. I think the parts are all fine. Goes on for too long. It does feel like more of a jam that was just sort of tagged on to the album, which doesn't really need to be on here. But I mean, I don't hate it. It's just not one of my favorites.
Yep, completely agree. I really like the bass intro, but because it is more of a subtle track, it's one that I'd put on last probably. I don't know if I'd skip it, but I definitely wouldn't go out my way to put it on.
Yeah, and then we go on to the next track, How Long Have You Known, which again is one of the highlights for me. Although can be slightly repetitive with the chorus itself. Depending on whatever mood I'm in, I either think it's just the right amount or it's too much. We're losing Liam. He's losing interest.
You've gone on a point there that I feel about this whole thing.
Okay,
which,
right.
I'll speak later.
The part that is a post-chorus, which is a very weird thing to say, but I fucking love that. That is proper ethereal, ascends me. Whatever that guitar part is that happens is great.
Yeah, I agree. This is one that I actually pinpoint the vocals as something that I actively like. Because in shoegaze, obviously, the vocals are quite low down in the mix in there, kind of there for atmosphere rather than any real lyricism. And while the lyrics are repetitive in this track, it's just I actively like the vocals rather than them just adding to what I like about the song, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
It does.
Brill. Next, we have the song Wait, which is another riff that sends me into oblivion. I absolutely fucking love that riff.
Yeah.
And there's a distorted guitar that comes in, which I think really adds to the track. It makes it stand out in comparison to the others. Just adds layers, like Yanni mentioned before. The songs just add layers, and it's just.
Yeah, I like how this one is more sort of heavily synthy as well. Changes it up a bit. The synth is louder in the mix, basically, compared to like the other ones. It's more distinct, and I like the vocals in this one as well. And yeah, that heavy guitar does set it apart from other tracks, and the ending where it just goes fucking sort of off the rails, but it's never like abrasive. I don't feel like it's still quite comforting to listen to. But yeah, I really like this one as well.
Can I just interject with a Liam Godfrey hot take?
Go on.
Always.
Hot take moment. Do you know what? I'm listening along as you guys are speaking. I don't know which one I'm preferring more, to be honest. They're both pretty boring. I'm kidding. But I'm realizing now that it reminds me of the war on drugs. I don't know what it is. It must just be the synth sounds, but similar kind of progressions and things like that. Maybe the similar rhythm on the drums. It reminds me quite a bit of specifically the last album, which is interesting, I suppose, considering that this album's 10 years old. But
yeah,
something there.
Yeah, maybe there is something there. Maybe that's why that album by the War on Drugs is one of my favorite albums. Maybe there's the crossover that I never knew.
Possible. C'est possible.
Moving on to the next track, Earth Boy. Again, this is one of the ones that I also wasn't ever too keen on. However, upon re-listen, I do like it. It's one of those ones that I could sort of like fall asleep to, not in it's a boring way. It's just very sort of peaceful and calming.
Yeah, that's fair. I like it, but I could do without it if I was held at gunpoint to bin off a song on this record. This would be one of the contenders.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know who's doing that, but you know, if it ever happens,
very strange.
I'll have an answer, so I won't be shot. So it might
That's
be
good.
worth going to someone else if you're actively looking to kill.
Next we have Droon Part 2. It's okay.
Yeah,
it's again, it feels more like a jam as compared to an actually fully formed song. So maybe that lets it down in my eyes. I don't hate it, and I feel like this maybe is a good point for this particular track to be on the album. But yeah, I don't know. It's when it comes to shoegaze, it's weird, isn't it? There's not really everything can sort of merge into one at one point.
Yeah,
So
100%, which I think is a sticking point for old Liam. It's a good
Maybe.
instrumental. Is it an instrumental? I think it's an instrumental. It is an
Yeah.
instrumental, isn't it? Yeah. And it doesn't make me feel anywhere near as much as part one does, but it's still pretty naughty.
yeah. Speaking of pretty naughty, the next two tracks are by far the standouts for me personally. First we have Follow. The guitar riffs, because there's multiple guitar things going on. I love every single one. I always have from the moment I've heard it. And I like the vocals as well. It's this one's more like the dream poppy style, rather than just straight up sort of like shoegaze. But yeah, I love how like the vocal melody follows the guitar riff at points when it gets a bit higher, and it sort of the reverb kicks in more and echoes more. But yeah, I fucking love this song. I always have.
I agree. This is tip top. I don't really have anything much to say about the track itself, but it is just it. After a couple like Drune as much, part 2, as much as I liked it, and Earth Boy, after a tiny bit of a slog, it does come back in full throttle. And then Sometime, which is the track after Follow, I have such a massive emotional attachment to this tune because although I've not known this record for anywhere near the time you have, Yanni, this is the first DIIV song you told me to listen to. And then I'll delve into the story of first listening to the record later. But this just started me off on this shoegaze path that I have become so well known for. And I really loved the song. I don't like it as much as I did at the start because, I mean, well, I do, but I prefer other songs to it. But it will always have that big emotional attachment to me.
Depending on the day, it'll either be this or Follow that are my favourites on the album. Right now, as I'm listening to it, I'd say this is my favourite because I've not heard this one that much recently. And that riff, I've forgotten how much I love that riff.
Yeah.
It's great.
Spoiler alert for a question Liam will ask us in a bit. Where they actually
spoiler. Point on my ear.
And
he could be watching Glow right now.
yeah.
Right, okay.
And I like the vocals as well, and the melody that is attached with them. Yeah, this again is one of the ones that I have a deep nostalgia for. Moving in to the title track, Ocean in brackets, Subsume. This one, bit of a darker one. I feel like it's a bit different in the production. I don't know, something about it seems a bit things have a bit more space and sit better in their pocket, if that makes sense. No, it's not so much an amalgamation of sound as you can quite distinctly hear certain parts. Am
I right? I'm basing this on absolutely nothing other than kind of album art. But are there later albums a bit more like
this? This one's a darker track from the album, and they do go more down a darker route, especially
like
on
the last album's got quite a dark looking album art.
Yeah.
That's kind of why I'm asking.
Yeah, I mean the last album they've done is pretty much full on shoegaze, like heavy shoegaze stuff. Whereas this is still got like the dream pop kind of sensibilities attached to it. But yeah, they do go down the darker tone. So yeah, but I like this one. I like the riff in it as well, and all the sort of vocals. Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot.
I don't really have any overriding thoughts on this one, to be honest. It's just kind of there for me.
Mm.
Because it is sandwiched in between Sometime and Doused, which Doused I fucking love.
I think.
If we go on to that.
Best
I'm
Chili
not
Pepper
gonna-
song.
Yeah. I'm not going to spoil it too much, but yeah. I can't really say it without giving away an answer, so I won't. But yeah,
Shut up.
I like Dows as well. I feel like maybe it would have been better to be swapped, like order wise, with Oshin and Dows, so you'd have to follow sometimes Dows, because
Yeah.
it sort of picks up, slows down, picks up, slows down again for the end, so it's a bit
Yeah.
weird. But yeah, this one, great little riff. The bass, I remember seeing this being performed live on
Letterman. I was
Letterman,
about
yeah,
to point
and-
this. They play it at like times 3
Yeah,
speed.
yeah, it's
It's
mad.
mental. It's so fast.
Link me.
But yeah, it's great. The bass player looks like he's about to fucking fall over at any point.
This is the famous one, isn't it? This is the well-known one. Like I remember
Yeah.
seeing the word "doused" a lot back in like 2012 around.
Yeah,
And
this
it has
is
got the
that
most
one.
plays on Spotify by a country mile. So.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Great tune. Any more to say on that, Cal, or not?
It's just top tier, to be honest. I'm not gonna. No, I'll talk about it later.
Okay. And finally, we have Home, which is another one that I enjoy quite a lot, to be honest. I think it's a very nice ender to the album. It's very peaceful, very sort of I don't know what the word, melancholic, maybe. Yeah, I like it. And the little synthy outro bit is just a nice way to end the album, I think.
I agree. However, it always pisses me off that, like, the track listing, because the way you said there, it's up, it's down, it's up, it's down. I just feel like it makes the album kind of end without anything. Without, I don't know. It just seems to like fade out inconsequentially, and it's just a bit like, I don't know. I feel like, as you say, if Doused wasn't the second to last track, which is such like a anthemic end, to then Home, I don't know. It's just a bit of a juxtaposition that I'm not too fond of.
Ding dong. That's one we ripped
Ding
off.
dong.
From Liam Coffrey. Anyway, the bonus version of this, which we're not covering,
No, I was gonna say, because I've
features the song Geist and Bambi Slaughter. Bambi Slaughter, I believe, is a Kurt Cobain cover. I like both those songs. I feel like it was good not to include them on the actual album. They do sort of feel different. Some of the singles before this were there's Big Joke, which I've got on 7-inch, I believe. And then there's Core Valis, which I think may be a B-side on the single sometimes. All of which fit the same kind of vibe, and are equally as good if you've not heard them. Carl, listen to them.
will do.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, gents, for sharing your thoughts.
Liam's trying to wrap us up. Go on.
Go on, get on with it. Lovely to hear from you both. And I've got some questions for you.
Oh, I didn't see
Maybe
this
we can
coming.
just milk a little bit more out of you. A little bit more blood out of stone.
Milk me, please.
First question for you is: do you think this album has aged well?
I do, because shoegaze is, I mean, it's never perfectly mixed. So I don't really think it suffers in that regard. If it was made again, it would probably be mixed the same way. So in that regard, I think it has aged well.
In terms of the technical side of it, so the mixing, like you were saying there, I think it's perfect for what it is. I don't feel like it would be any better for I don't know what I'm trying to say. I don't think it
for
would.
better technology.
Yeah, it wouldn't benefit from having a newer mix. To be honest, I think it's one of those ones that suits the time. And in terms of
Yeah.
age well, which is what we're actually trying to get at here, I feel like so many things took bits from this. There's so many elements that you see from like that 2012 onwards era of like indie rock that you can quite clearly hear in this album. So I feel like because of that, maybe it hasn't aged well. I don't know. It's sort of a weird thing. Like it.
That was a pure roller coaster.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm
I
trying
don't
to
know
say.
where I
I
am
feel
anymore.
like it because we've heard so many of the things that sort of copy aspects of it. Like it seems like, oh, we've heard this a million times at this point now,
Right.
so it doesn't feel like it has aged well. But for the time when it came out and for what it is, I feel like it has. We got there in the end.
I think we got an answer there somewhere. Now, I want you to both tell me about your first experience of this record.
No,
We'll start
shut
with, no, you have to, legally obliged to. Yanni, we'll start with you because I assume that's first chronologically.
It
yeah, it
is.
will be. My first experience is very hard to pinpoint, but I distinctly remember, and this is going to sound like every answer I give for these.
Holiday.
I was on holiday with Mama and Papa, and I remember, I think wherever we stayed, there was obviously like Wi-Fi, and this was something that was sort of like recommended at the time. I think it probably would have been DIIVs that popped up, and then I thought I'd just say the album and whatever. And then we were driving around, going through. It must have. I think it was Mallorca, but like we're going around like Rocky Mountain tops. Obviously, sun was out, and I put this on, and I remember thinking like, wow, it was one of those experiences I had, like with Jamie T's album, and sort of Woo Life, where I was just in the right moment to hear the album, and it just worked perfectly. So yeah,
Fair
Beautiful.
enough. Mine came during lockdown.
Oh, that recent?
That recent, yeah.
Wow, I assume this would have been at the time where I absconded and you two blossomed.
We did blossom,
within
to
your
be fair.
relationship.
Thanks, Mr. Arnutis. Love you.
Arpeggiator.
Yeah, I think I knew Sometime and Doused, but in terms of the full record, it was Lockdown, and I'd go on my little walk that I'd go on every day
Illegal.
because no, because you're allowed one form of exercise a day, Liam.
Oh,
I don't go out while I have the big C. Thank you, high horse.
I don't know what you're referring to there. Calvin.
And I do the same route at like 6:30 every day, so the sun was just at that right place in the sky,
Mhm.
and it was just the soundtrack of that, and I think I was enjoying it because it was just getting me out of listening to the Beatles constantly, because that was literally all I did in lockdown. But yeah, so that's that. So it was a nice
Lovely.
bit of solace in a shit time.
Wow, what a lovely way of putting it.
Yeah.
Now,
Thank you.
I want you to tell me, and we've touched on this almost, teetering on the edge there. It is teetering, Yanni.
Petering, I think it is.
Peter is not involved.
Peter's ring.
Tell me about your favourite track, and then I'll tell you mine.
Depending on the day, I'd have to say it's either going to be Follow or Sometime. At this very moment, if you're to use Callum's analogy and put a gun to my head and make me pick, I would say Sometime.
Okay. Callum?
Wow. So for the nostalgia reason, it would be Sometime, but that is not a fact. It is between Past Lives and Doused, with a very special honourable mention to Human. But I'm gonna go with Doused because it's just a banger, a
Very nice.
slapper,
Liam,
a stonker.
what's your favourite track?
Me, my favorite track. Oh
Yeah.
gosh, it would be Ocean (Subsume). That's why
Wow.
I asked if there's more of that because I do
Wow.
quite like that song.
Well,
Weird.
I've not really given my opinion on this. Go on, Carl. What are you gonna say?
the other day I said that this album reminded me of the live performance of Blankenship. Did you watch that?
I did.
Did you like the song? Because that is on the third album that Yanni
Um,
said this sounds most like.
I honestly don't remember. I think I was making lunch at the same time, so maybe I'll have to go back. Although one song just came up when that album finished, which I think's from the third album, "Like Before You Were Born."
Yes, I fucking love that. That is
Yeah,
my
that sounds
favorite
pretty good.
song from that
I
album.
was listening to that before
Yeah.
while you guys were chatting away, and very much enjoyed that. So I might listen to that last album. I'll work my way
Yeah,
backwards and see
do
what
so.
I think of it.
Mm.
Definitely.
I
do that.
haven't given my opinion on this album. Should I do that now? While
Yeah,
You
go
should
on.
have done it
Phil's
before you asked the
talking?
questions. Really,
Yeah, I
if
didn't
I'm
really think
honest.
about it. For me, good vibes. I understand this is a sunny album. I just think it's too repetitive.
Fair.
Throughout each song, throughout the album, the two songs that you guys both love, Follow and Sometime, are actually the first time I listened to it, felt they were very similar, those two songs. I actually thought it started to play the same song again, which is a bit of that's over, that's dramatic, but genuinely do think they sound very similar, and there's just too much repetitiveness throughout the album. That's why there's
Fair
a few
enough.
songs which I don't think I quite liked Ocean and Dow's. I don't think they do that as much. But I like the sounds and stuff. It's just not my cup of tea, I think. But there you go. That's my
Completely
opinion.
fair, mate.
And it's definitely right. There's no other opinions valid. But I would like to ask you how this compares to their other works, as we've kind of touched on here. They have released some other albums.
They have.
Where's this one?
This is number one, I think, without a shadow of a doubt. Although we've sort of said at times that it wasn't, this is the most, what's the fucking word?
Consistent.
Yeah,
Cohesive?
consistent. It's the sort of ideal length for this type of sound. I don't think you could have really too much longer of it, otherwise you do just want to skip it, which is a problem that the second album comes into because it's over an hour long.
Yeah, it's like an hour and 13 or something. It is a long album.
Stupidly long.
That and is it Deceiver? Is that what the third one's called?
Deceiver, yeah.
I like songs off that, whereas I like this album.
Exactly, yeah. I like this album. I like songs off the other albums. So
Yes.
This is the best one.
That was pretty straightforward.
You're welcome.
It was.
This is the best one. Number one award to DIIV's Ocean. 10 years today. Not actually quite today, but when you listen to this,
Today.
it might still not be today. It's at some point.
It
on
will be
26th of June.
Sunday, 26th of June. Oh, it's actually a year since the streets were singing about as we're recording. 21st of June.
Yeah.
Who's got
Oh,
the
yeah.
bag?
God, when was that? 2020.
Was
No.
it? It wasn't.
Was it 2 years ago?
It was when we were
2
supposed to be out,
bloody
wasn't it? That was the idea.
years.
That's when everything was supposed to be open. That was fucking. This didn't happen. did it?
bag?
Lovely.
2021 it was.
Thanks, guys. Anything else to say about DIIV and Ocean?
Make
Diving in
sure
oceans?
you're not diving
safe?
into shark-infested oceans.
Yeah.
Or
And
rocks, look out
if
for
you get
rocks.
eaten, it's not the shark's fault because you're literally swimming in their house. So don't blame the sharks.
And don't blame us either. If you do, I don't know how you would blame us.
Yeah,
We're sharky kind of guys.
I'm
and
gonna
that's that.
just take it off here because
Please do.
meandering a bit.
on.
If you have enjoyed the video and you're watching this on YouTube, because hopefully it will be there, then you can go to the link in the description to follow the apps that I'm about to read off for you right now. Instagram and Facebook at Falls on the Hill Podcast. Twitter is at Falls on the Hill Pod. Obviously, like, subscribe, ding the bell, comment. Do you agree with what we've said? Do you not? How do you think it compares to their other works if you think differently? Do you think Liam should give this another chance, or whether it's too late? Doesn't really matter.
Lost cause.
he's a lost cause. He really is. Yeah, and all that fun stuff.
Well, on that note, thank you, boys. Dive in to more.
And on that note,
bye-bye.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
bye, bye, bye.
I'm going to record the video on my phone now.
Same.
I've already started.
Oh, all right.
Oh, you bloody bitch.